Hello, George here. I am going to show you how to add the Fizx Lite edition to a table, future pinball table of your choice. I've got my file manager open, and I personally prefer to use the free program. It's called Free Commander. I've got a review of that on the Pinball Nirvana, and I'll link to that in the tutorial if you want to download this. But I've got my contents of the download open up here on the right pane, and over on the left pane here I have my target table that I've asked the author for permission to be able to record this video. And so so these are some folders that have files in them that we'll add later. And this is the table for our example table. And this is the 1K ball that we need to make Fizx work. So what I'm going to do here is just click on that zip file. We don't want to open that up. Maybe I'll go ahead and show you what's in there just so you satisfy your curiosity. There's a folder for models, and there's 2 models there. And that's all there is. So you leave that zipped. We're going to copy that over to our target table. And this is the rename key for my file manager. I'm not actually going to rename it, but just hold my control key down and type the letter C. I'm going to click on my 1K ball models, click on rename, and then I'll hold my control key down and hold the control V for Victor and paste that in there. And now we have the 1K ball with the exact same name as the table, and that's what you need to make it work. Next step we're going to do is we're going to open the table. Now I have a special way of opening the table up in the future pinball editor, but you can do it the same way you would normally do it. But I just right click. I've added some right click context. This won't be there unless you follow my tutorial that I posted on Pinball Nirvana. Then I'll click on edit PAM, and that will open up the table in the editor. But it won't do that unless you've performed the steps in the tutorial that I've posted. What we're going to do now is click on the script button over here, and click on this center button to make it larger. And what we're going to do here is click on edit and find. And we're going to search for 2 terms. First one's in pre-hit, P-R-E-H-I-T, and we'll click on the find. We got no occurrences, so that's good actually. And we search for XML. Click on find. That's not there either. That's good. If I had found occurrences of either one of those, I would have to remove the custom flippers that may have been installed, or an XML which would have Fizx that needs to be removed. And so I have some additional directions in the written tutorial that you can do if you find something on either of those. I don't know of a way to check for Z-Fizx. You don't want to have this code added to a Z-Fizx table either, and you would have to remove those, which is kind of difficult, but you can usually find another version of the same table that you're looking for that does not have the Z-Fizx added. So I would recommend that you use a version that does not have it rather than try to remove Z-Fizx. That's all we're going to do here on the script for the time being. And what we're going to do next is click on Table and add those files from the 3 folders that I showed you earlier. And first thing we'll do is click on Model Manager, and then we'll click on Import. And this is the Slingshot model folder from the download. Click on the first file, hold the Shift key down, click on the last file. That highlights all the files. Click on Open, and then OK. Next thing we want to add are the sounds, and we'll click on Table, Sound Manager, and Import. Okay, this is needs to be. These are the 3 folders from the download, and our audio files are in there. There's 2 folders here. Each of these has less than 30 files in it, and the reason for that is future Pinball will only import 30 files at a time. If you try to do more, it will just import the first 30 files and not do the rest, and it won't warn you that it does that either. We'll just do the first 30 files. So we're going to open up the first folder. We'll click on the first file, scroll down, hold your Shift key down, click on the last file, and verify they're all highlighted, and click on OK. We're going to click on Import a second time here. We're going to go up 1 on the folder list, double click on 2, click on the first file, scroll down to the bottom, hold Shift key down, click on the last file, make sure all the files are highlighted, click on Open, and then OK. Last folder that we're going to add is for Texture Manager. Click on the Table and then Texture Manager, and click on Import. This is the last folder. It's called Invisible Texture. Just click on that file. There's only 1 file in the folder. Click on Open, and then say OK. The next step that we're going to do here is to add our code to the script. So I want to click on that middle button to make this smaller, and I want to open our file manager here, and I'm going to open this example table so that we can copy the code from it. Then I'm going to minimize that file manager, and it will open the example table back behind this other one if you have trouble finding it. I'll put these side by side. You can size these if you need to by doing that. Just grabbing a corner. And what we'll do here is click on this button for the script. It'll open a new window up. We'll drag this corner down to about that point, and we'll click on the script of the other table and make it smaller. We'll drag this over here. We'll click on that corner, drag it down. So I got my Lite Edition example table on this side, and on this side I have my target table. I'm going to make the script a little larger here. You can do that by holding your control key down and using your mouse wheel to make a change. I'll do the same thing on this side. Now, the Fizx code that we're starting with to add here is sectioned off here on the, has this flag I've added here that says Fizx Lite Edition start. But before we do that, I want to kind of cover a few things. You can see that even the example table in this one has some parameters you can change. I kind of like to have that near the top, and so I usually put my Fizx code down below there. And but there are two things that you cannot do. You cannot put the Fizx code above this line that says option explicit, because the code won't work. And if you look at tables, the only thing you ever usually see up above there are comments that are in green. A comment is defined by this character here that's an apostrophe, and then everything to the end of the line is then turns green and makes it a comment, and that makes it so the code ignores it. But you can put the content that you want to tell people about and provide some instructions, like I did here at the beginning of the Fizx code. This Fizx code has some parameters near the beginning here that you see there, and so I kind of like to have it up near the beginning, so it's when you first open the script, it's not, you don't have to scroll down so far to get to it. And so what I've done here is I'm going to start copying this code, and I want to copy the line up above there, because I have found that sometimes this that asterisk sometimes doesn't copy and ends up looking like that, and that makes future Pinball think this is some code when it's not, and it will cause an error message when you try to play the table. So the way to do around that is to start copying from the line above, and then just drag it down partially a little ways just to get it started. And then we'll go down to the bottom where the code ends, and I've added another flag that tells you where the end is, and it's right there. So you look for a Fizx Lite Edition end. So what we're going to do is hold our shift key down, click on the end of that line, and highlight all the text that we're going to copy. And let's go back up to the top just to make sure we've got everything highlighted that we need to. And there we are. It's the beginning, so everything's highlighted that we need. We'll hold the control key down, type the letter C to copy. Then we'll click over here on our target table and hold the control key down and type the letter V. One thing I forgot to tell you is another rule of inserting this code is you do not want to put it inside another subroutine. If you don't know what a subroutine is, it's defined by this character, these little text here. It's called sub, that turns blue when you enter it into the screen here for the script. That's the name of the subroutine that I've just highlighted there. And the end of the sub goes down to here. So all this is a subroutine. You don't want to insert your code inside there somewhere, because you can see that there's already a bunch of subroutines in the code that we pasted. So if you put a subroutine inside another subroutine, you'll have all kind of errors and problems. So just don't do that. All right, let's go back to our example table. Let's highlight this line, my start flag here, and we'll hold the control key down and type the letter F to find. And it puts the text that I highlighted there automatically in the box. So we'll just click on Find Next. And now we need to add, oh, let me go back over here. I forgot to check, make sure this code here for our Fizx was correctly. We got it all the way down to the end. Let's go back up to the top and make sure that the beginning of it is good. And it is. That's the start of it. It's all green. There's this asterisk is still there, so we're good. Anyway, this is the next section that we want to copy over here on the left. And it's for the slingshots. On this table, the slingshot is separate. You got your left slingshot here. Down below, we got the right slingshot. They can put this whole section here is a subroutine in itself. Right there. And so we want to be sure to add our new code into the correct location in the subroutine. And this portion of it needs to be stuck at the top and directly below the line of the name here. And this code, there's another set of code down below here that needs to be added at the end of the sub, or just above this line that says end sub. So what we want to do is find the subroutine for the slingshot over here on the target table. And they're often named the same, but it's because table authors tend to use the same template when they create a table, so a lot of the names are going to be the same unless they decide to change them. So let's just highlight that. I just double clicked on that, hold the control key down and type the letter C. Click over here, hold the control key down, type the letter F to find, and control V as in Victor, and paste the name of the subroutine that we're looking for over here. And there it is. Let me show you if the author has chosen to name the subroutine for the slingshot something different. Okay, these are the table editor. You can see there's lots of objects on there, and the slingshots are on here and here, but the object that I can't see the object that I want to click on for the slingshot to get the name. So we'll just hold our shift key down and click on these numbers on these layers. So all these objects are saved to different layers, and you'll see that here in a minute. Okay, that's layer 1 that has the posts for the slingshots, but I don't want that. That's another layer. This layer here has what I'm looking for. This is the rubber for the slingshots. So you just click on that rubber, and there you have the name there. And of course, it's level to what we expected it to be. And so you can highlight that and hold your control key down and type the letter C to copy. We'll go back to the script, click somewhere in there, hold the control key down, type the letter F to find, and control V as in Victor to find the slingshot. This is the name of what's highlighted right there is the name of the slingshot. And this portion of the name is used so that it tells the code that you know, when the ball hits a slingshot, this subroutine here will run. And that's how it works. Let's go ahead and create some lines to add our content over here. We're going to put something right there. So let's start over here. This note that I've written over here tells you to place this in the beginning of your subroutine for that I've already told you. So if you can read the text, and I'll give you some instructions, the same thing I'm telling you now. Okay, what I've done here is went to the line above that blank line, copied that, first selected it, and went from the start flag down to the end flag that I've added to tell you where to copy it to and from. And so we'll go over here to our target table, hold our control key down, type the letter V to paste. I just deleted a blank line. It makes it look a little better for me. One thing for sure, notice that this is the name of the subroutine, and the name of the subroutine appears in the script we just added right there. See, so it says left slingshot rubber. That needs to be the same as this name here. So if the author named it if they named the rubber for the slingshot something different, you would just need to make this code here match the name of the rubber that the author chose to name it. Let's go back over here. Whoops, went down the wrong place. That's the start of the next content that we want to add, and that needs to go at the end. If you read this note, so it needs to go at the end of this subroutine. It needs to go directly above this section here that says end sub. So we'll go highlight that content and go from one line above, Control C, and we'll click here, hold the control key down, type V as a Victor, and delete that little line there, and that looks good. So this content we just added has the name of the slingshot in it as well right there. So if the name of your slingshot is different, you'll need to rename this as well. We've got the next slingshot, the right slingshot, to do the same way. That's the beginning of the code right there. You can see it's for the right slingshot. This says the same thing as the other slingshot. And this, I could search, if this is, I noticed the name of the right slingshot is directly below the other one. If it's not there, it can be placed almost anywhere. So you could go do the same thing I did there, like copy that name. Let's just go ahead and do it, I guess. And Control C and Control D. Well, it didn't copy. Control C, Control D. Somehow got a space in there, but I guess it doesn't matter. And there, see, just like that. That's if it was in a different spot altogether, which it actually is usually pretty close to the other one. This has the same note as I put on the left slingshot rubber. It just says the same thing, only applies it to the right slingshot rubber. We'll copy the code in the same way as before. Control C. click here to add it to the space we added there. Control V to paste. Then this one has the same code, just that we need to add just above the end sub, and it starts, and it has that same note to place it directly above your, at the end of the sub, or right where we're going to paste it here, above this line that says end sub. Control V, and there. That covers what we need to add. Don't be concerned if this content here in between the script we added is completely different. That can be completely unique to each table, so don't worry about it. It's just kind of an odd occurrence that they both happen to be the same. So, at this point, we need to, let's just close out our example table, and I must have changed something in there somehow a little bit, so I'm just going to say no to save changes. We'll close the script here on the target table. What we want to do is just click on the X here, and you'll see here that it says that we've changed it. You want to save changes? Say yes, for sure. If you don't do this at this point, future Pinball, if you make too many changes at one time, it kind of acts in a peculiar manner, and so it works best if you just periodically save your changes. And I have found I'd have to save it at this point or I'll have trouble. So just now all we're going to do is reopen the table again, and at this point what we're going to do is to open both tables again, and we're not going to open the script this time, but we're going to find a layer that has flippers on it. So our target table already has the layer of the flippers. I think on the example table it's on layer 1, so I'll just hold my shift key down, click on the 1 there. So there's our flippers. Let's click on the flipper of the example table, and you can see that this is the left flipper. This pane over on the right changes whenever you click on an object. And we'll click on the flipper of the other object here. So I've moved these, scrolled down, because there's some stuff that we want to match between the two tables here. Start angle is a 120 on our target, on our example table, and we want to change that to 120 over here. Sling is 48, so we will make this 48 over here. The strength, this is a slider that can be moved around, and it needs to be, this one was set in the dead center, so this one's set a little bit off center, so now it's dead center. And you want the elasticity, which has a pull down option there for hard, intermediate, and soft, and it's already set to intermediate, so we don't need to change that. Let's click on the right flipper, and we'll scroll down again on both of these. The start angle here is 240, so we'll change that to 240. Swing again is 48. And we'll drag that slider down one tick there so it's in the center. Both are set to intermediate elasticity. And then we'll look at this upper flipper, and this is the upper flipper here. We'll scroll down again. We don't want to change the start angle of the swing on this one. We just want to make the strength and the elasticity match. So this is like one tick up from there. It looks like it. Yeah, there we go. Those. No, not yet. There. Okay. And elasticity is set to soft on this one, so we'll change that to soft. Okay. Next step. The names of these flippers is very critical to Fizx, because each of these flippers is coded with specific names, and there's no other way to do it. So we'll click on each of these again and compare the names. This is the left flipper. The Latin was correct. This one will say right flipper and right flipper. So they're the same, and that's good. I have a list of good names written in the tutorial. On this table, the upper flipper just happens to be the right one over here and the right one here. If this were a left flipper, we would want it to say left flipper, but since we got both of them, and you can see there's a difference here. The reason for that is the template that all the guys use to build tables has these two main flippers, but it doesn't have anything. These upper flippers are not in there, so they just come up with their name on their own, and the author here decided to call it right flipper up, but you can see here right flipper 2 is a good name, so we'll just change. Actually, what we'll do is highlight all that, hold the control key down, and copy, and we'll just change this to right flipper 2. Now what we need to do is click on actually the button here for the script. We'll maximize that. Let's make it a little bigger. Click on edit and replace. Okay, this is the find box. Hold your control key, type the letter V to paste what we copied out of the table. I'm just going to paste the same thing here so I don't have to type right flipper, but we'll backspace and change that to a 2. Okay, now then, what we need to do is find next, and there you go. Now the name of the flipper is there, and there's lots of coding that use it. So this one just tells it to turn the solenoid on, but you don't need to know that. Just leave what's highlighted there. Don't change it, and just click on replace. And then it goes down and finds another place where it turns the solenoid off. But so just leave it highlighted what it is, the name of the flipper, and don't really worry about the coding that it's finding, and just click on replace. And then we'll click on replace again, and that's the end. There's no more occurrences of the old name, so we can cancel that out. Close, And next step we need to do is to add our slingshots. Now we're going to close our example table because there's an easier way to add contents and new stuff to a table. You can manually add it in, but that is a lot more work. We've just had the example table open, so what you click on File here, it will show you in your history the file for the example table. So what we want to do is just click on that. What that does is it opens both of these tables at the same time in the same editor. So you click on Window there, and that's the target table. This is the example table here. And you can see we don't have our right layer done. So let's click on layer 4 here. And these are those models of the diverters that we added. There's actually 2 of them facing each other. There's that one and that one. And notice the name of the diverter is there, and that actually matches the code that we added to the slingshots earlier. I didn't point it out to you, but it's in there, and that is the correct name. And we got two of these diverters for the other side of the slingshots. So let me go back, zoom back out here. That magnifying glass is a zoom key. You can left click to enlarge and right click to make smaller. Anyway, you can see there's nothing on this layer 4 other than these slingshots. So what we can do here, click on Edit, select all, and that selects. Let's go back. This is the cursor that you can use to click stuff on instead of magnify. But anyway, you can see here we got 4 diverters selected. That's 4 in the parentheses there. Tells you got 4 diverters. And we'll just click on Edit and Copy. Alright, now we'll click on this window. We'll go over to our target table. And then we'll click on Edit and Paste. And there they are. They're probably not in the right location, but look over here on the right here, and you'll see that that texture we added, full transparent, that's automatically added in there, along with this models that we added. If you remember, that was one of the models that we added. There's 3 others that have different sizes in there. Anyway, so at this point, we're done with this example table. So let's just close that out. And we want to put these in the correct location, but we want the rubber for the slingshot to up here. So we'll leave the layer 4 on and just click around, see if we can find it. And well, I got lucky. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And so what I want to do, I got all the diverters selected right now. I just click somewhere on the table and it will deselect those. And I only want to click on one, hold the shift key down, and click on the other. And what I want to do is to move these 2 together, so there's a little space of the rubber in front of the models of the diverters that we've added. So something like that is about right. And in fact, amazingly, these are the right length, but if you needed to have a different size, you can make it smaller by selecting a different model. You can see that one's too short. We'll go up to this other one here, 70. You can see we got way too much overlap there. If you leave it like that, when the ball hits this, you can get some strange bounces off of the diverter because of these parts sticking out. So you definitely don't want that. So let's go back to this slingshot that we had. And actually, that looks really good. Let's go over to this other one. We'll just click, when I click on one separate like that, it will deselect those. And we'll hold our shift key down, click on that one. And we'll move this one in the same way. Put this back behind the slingshot with just a little bit of slingshot sticking out. And let me get that. Okay, on this one, looks like the diverter is not quite the right angle. This is the start angle. Do not change that swing angle. That needs to be set to 10 for it to play correctly. But we can make an adjustment of the swing angle, or start angle, I mean. And we'll just try changing that to a 0, 200. There. That looks pretty good. That matches. And click on that. That one actually is pretty good. I don't see a need to change that angle. So I like to have, this is the, you can't click on this. You can see there, you can't click on it. That's just showing you how far out this diverter will swing out when it's activated. So I like to have this a nice rounded edge here, so you won't get some strange trajectories from when the ball hits it. Or so those look good. That's all. Need to show you one last thing. Oh, I think I told you about the texture. Just kind of check, make sure the pasted copy is correct here. That's the texture we added, and it needs to be there. And same on the other side. You can see that says full transparent, and there's that one's good too. So that is what makes these diverters invisible. You will not see these when you play the table. With that, we're done. What we need to do is close and be sure to click on this that you want to save changes, and we're good. Next step is I have an option in Future Pinball so that whenever I save, it puts a copy of the whatever I had before I changed it. It makes a copy of that so that you can go back to it. But what we want to do now is play this table, and I can just play because of my the thing that I've added to my future pinball, all I have to do is double click on the table and it will play. You have to set that up in that. I know you can follow that tutorial that I mentioned earlier, but I can just double click, but yours will not work like that if you double click on yours, so unless you have it set up the way that I recommend. So, but we're going to just play it. What we're looking for is just to see if we get any error messages. And we got no error messages. So that's good. But we do need to kind of play it a little bit. You can see there the ball keeps bouncing back to the plunger kicker. We can use what we call a ball roller. I can just left click and move that up. That's an adjustment problem. And I cover adjustments in the next section, and I'll have a separate video for it. But I want to just basically want to be able to try out the new flippers here. But I mean, the flipper works. Everything else is good. So that's the end of the video here. I appreciate your support there, and we will end the video here. Let's see here.